Well, hey, welcome to AaronCon 2020 Day 2. As far as I know, we're live. Here's hoping. I'm using a one camera system this time, so I don't have to shut down like I did last time and switch over. I'm just going to use this one and kind of tripod it around. And yeah, so if I'm looking off camera, it's because I'm looking on screen to see if I'm actually showing up. But apparently I'm on. So let's hope someone shows up. And there we go. Someone reacted to my video, so someone's watching. That's cool. All right, we're good. Okay, I see it's late. Okay, it's a little bit delayed. Okay, I got it. All right. So what are we going to do on day 2? Well, probably pretty much the same thing we did on day 1. I'm going to go over some of the products and some of the stuff I have on my table, and then I'm going to start drawing. But if you weren't with us last night, and you're only here for day 2, Friday, Emerald City Comic Con was canceled because of the coronavirus fears. And so I am opening up my studio, as it were, to do AaronCon to replace Emerald City. We're going to try and give you a virtual con experience. No crowds, no noise, no direct conversation, but what can you do? So we have some people locking in, it looks like. 1 or 2 people anyway at this point. So let's get to it. If you were to theoretically come by my table at any given show, you'd get to see a variety of things, one of which is this marvelous new hardcover sketchbook. Raw Imagination, 20 years of sketches by, oh look, it's by me, Aaron Lopresti. I'm offering these for sale for $25. You can get a sketch on the inside, a head sketch on the inside of this beautiful book. Look at that. That's just the end papers. That's the title page. A nice big shot of some barbarian that could be Conan, but not necessarily. I've actually even got an introduction. It's like a real book. As you can see, there's all kinds of art spanning 20 years. It's just full of goodness. So anyway, these are $25, and you can get a sketch on the inside, like I said, for $45. Everything this weekend is free shipping. So it's just like if you went to the con and bought something, you don't have to worry about shipping. This weekend, you don't have to worry about shipping here. If you want one of these, you just PayPal me at aaron@aaronlopresti.com and tell me in the little message box what you're sending me the money for, and I'll put one together for you. In fact, we're going to do some samples of sketching in these books in just a minute. Okay. What else might I have on my table? Well, I'll tell you what I might have. I might have prints. So let's take a look at a few of them that might be available if you walk by my table. This is not the Little Mermaid. It's the Coral Princess print. This is a signed and numbered limited edition print of 150. That's available. I've got this Spider-Man print that was inked by John Livesey. Was for an auction. The original art was for an auction for a San Jose Con a few years ago. It's a nice little Spider-Man print. That's available, signed and numbered, limited to 100. This is my San Diego 1946 print. That's Supergirl, in case you were wondering. You can see the cape makes an S. That's kind of my subtle way of letting you know. Why San Diego 1946? I don't know, why not? Because I wanted to do the 1946 swimsuit and the hairstyle. So there you have it. I've also got, as I'm maneuvering through my junk here, I also have my version of the We Can Do It from the World War II Rosie the Riveteer print. These are signed and numbered, limited to 150. In fact, I'm getting pretty close to being out of these, but they're still available. This is the one people seem to be interested in the most. This was originally, as you can see behind me, the banner there. This was originally had a black border on it. I sold out of those, and so I've done a remastered edition with a yellow background. So this is kind of an open edition, so it's not limited. It still will be signed, but I have plenty of these available. And that's Warrior Nouveau. I also have a Warrior in Repose. Looks a lot like Wonder Woman as well. This is limited edition, I believe, 150. That's right, signed and numbered, 150. All the prints come signed, even if they're not limited edition. Most of them are limited. And the other, my best-selling print of all time, Girl Power. That's Superman and Wonder Woman, in case you hadn't figured that out. I've sold out of this, the signed and limited edition ones, years ago. I remastered this and re-released it, and so now this is Girl Power remastered. This comes signed, and it's a open edition as well, so it's not limited, but it still comes signed. I have my copyright infringement prints. That would be the Star Wars princesses. This is on kind of a watercolor paper, so it feels more like real art. Anyway, this is limited to only 100, signed and numbered, because I got to get them out before Lucasfilm shuts me down. And then I have this little baby that's also a copyright infringement Jaws poster. My son's a big Mondo poster fan and been bugging me to create a new Jaws poster. So I finally did it. He wanted it to be 24 by 36. I did 11 by 17 because 24 by 36 is huge. And it's a lot of drawing. And doing something like this in your spare time is pretty time consuming, especially if you're going, 24 by 36 actual size. So it's a 11 by 17 print. It's not limited. It's just, it's an open edition available to anybody. Of course, it comes signed. All these prints are $15 a piece. No shipping this weekend only. Again, you can PayPal me directly, specify which print you want. Or, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can certainly message me on Facebook, or you can email me at aaron@aaronlopresti.com and say, hey, I want this print, and I'll take care of you. So either way. Now the other thing you'll see that I might have on my table is portfolios. We looked at a couple yesterday. There we go. We looked at a couple yesterday. I'm going to look at one more tonight, and then we're going to start drawing. And when I say we're going to start drawing, I mean I'm going to start drawing. So anyway, I'm going to adjust this camera, which is something I couldn't do last night, simply by turning it. You can see sort of, look, you can see my studio. Look at that artwork on the wall. And if you look way back up by the window that way, there's a 12-inch Gorn and a 12-inch Mugatu for you Star Trek fans that are kind of interested in that kind of stuff. But enough of that. Let's get down here. Ooh, look at that. It's the magic of technology. I turned off the autofocus from last night too, so this should not just like blur in and out of focus. It should stay in focus the whole time. Okay. All right, these are sort of what I've got left over from my Wonder Woman pages. Let's see if I can adjust this. Yeah, that's better. I think that's better. Well, it's better enough. Okay, so anyway, these are mostly of young Diana. There she is in jail, about ready to rip the bars off. A lot of this is, let's see if I can, there we go. A lot of this is Hippolyta versus whoever she's fighting. This is actually, that's nothing. This is actually a double-page spread of young Diana. You can see her there and there. And this is the Evil Queen, who sort of looks like the Enchantress, but what can I say? Rip off Kirby whenever I can. That's a double-page spread, so you get half the fight scene here, you flip it over, and there's the other half of the fight scene. How about that? Lisa Lynn, she loves that poster behind me. Well, which one, the Kit Carter or the, I used to have the Kit Carter prints, but those are gone. But I do still have that poster behind me um, as a print, the Wonder Woman one, if that's what you're talking about. If that's not what you're talking about, then I don't know. Okay. Lisa Lynn is a big advocate for White Castle. I'm not really a big fan of steamed hamburgers, but apparently she is. So anyway, oh, look at this. Now this is kind of cool. This is Swamp Thing page from the Swamp Thing 100-page giant I did. It's got some pretty good Swamp Thing action on there, actually. There's a big Swamp Thing head right there. I love this page. He's fighting this energy dude. And we got some big pictures of Swamp Thing all through. Gets his arm ripped off down there. That's kind of exciting. Let's see what else is in here. More Swamp Thing. That's a pretty good page there. Swamp Thing gets tackled, and I don't know. Can I zoom in a little bit more? I'm pretty zoomed in, but let me see if I can get in a little. Oh, I can. Look at that. Let's move that over there. Okay, so you can see the bigger images of Swamp Thing. I have to move this around a little bit so you can see everything. But yeah, so it's got some good Swamp Thing action on it. This is more Swamp Thing, but actually not a lot of Swamp Thing on this page. In fact, very little. He's here, but that's about it on that page. This is kind of fun because it has a little Justice League cameo. Where is it? There it is. Batman, the Flash, Wonder Woman, and Superman on that page. So this is a page you might flip through and go, oh, hey, that's cool, and stop for a moment before you turn the page. Oop, there's a big old Swamp Thing head right there on this page. That's pretty groovy. Of course, I went with the Wrightson version of Swamp Thing, not the more modern mossy version. And then we got a little bit more Swamp Thing here. And that's the last page of the story, actually. I'm going to zoom back out so we can see this damage stuff a little bit better. Okay. That's not too bad. All right, so that's a damage splash page from the damage, the damage annual I did. There's another really big splash page that is from the same annual. See, one thing about working with Robert Venditti, who's a writer, guy knows how to put in some pretty cool splash pages, give me some fun stuff to do. So there's another big shot of damage splash page there. There's his alter ego, Ethan, whatever his name was, jumping forward with kind of this image of damage behind him. I think the colors probably knocked that back a little bit because he's not really there. It's sort of his, what would you call it? His damaged spirit behind him. I don't know. Here's my Fing Fang Foom ripoff story. We had a great fun with that. With damage, this is a double page spread. Here's the other side of it. His damage is bursting through his mouth, and I think there's a couple teeth he knocked out on the way. Here's some more damage action right here. The big. There's another big shot of damage. If people actually knew who Damage was, I might actually sell some of these pages because they're actually kind of cool pages if you like big superhero monster action art. This is kind of funny. This wasn't in the script. Robert just kind of on these, what do they call these? The Age of New Heroes or something books. They were very much, what should we say, old Marvel style scripts. So they weren't, there wasn't a lot of detail. And a lot of times it was just like, 5 pages of fight scenes. And Robert would say, okay, start here, finish here, do whatever you want in the middle. So I had to come up with kind of creative ways for, to stage fight scenes. And what I did here was I had Damage pick up some missiles, put them in his fist, punch him in this guy's mouth, and then punch him in the face so his head exploded. That's what we get to do for a living as a comic book artist, right? More action over here of him punching people in the face. Getting punched. This is kind of Abomination type character there. Boy, I shamelessly rip off everybody, don't I? Some more Damage fighting pages. These are all really nice pages. If they were Hulk pages, they'd be gone, right? There's another pretty groovy This is double page spread again. That's damage busting up a military installation, and there's the other half of the military guys getting whacked around. And I have the utmost respect for our military, but in this case, you know, they're no match for even them. Even the Marines are no match for damage in this one. I don't want Billy Tucci coming after me for saying that, but here's some more Monster Island stuff with Kongorilla. It's kind of fun. You know, bring back some 60s DC characters. It's a lot of monkey action. So there's some more monsters on the Monster Island thing, and this is kind of funny. This is kind of based on one of the Kirby monsters from Strange Tales way back in the early 60s. Orgo, I think that was supposed to be based on. So I got these little Easter eggs in there for people that really know their monsters. Here's some more monster action with the Kongorilla fighting this three-headed dinosaur thing, and then damage down here busting up some monsters. And of course here we have Kongorilla down here at the bottom working over a monster, and then damage taking care of business. And this is interesting because we got Superman here, Dead Man here, Green Arrow, Vixen, Dead Man again. Superman here is sort of this imaginary psycho thing that damage is trapped in and kind of breaks free down here at the bottom. Here he fought Superman in one of these issues, and so I got some Superman pages in here. It's pretty exciting stuff. Some decent Superman pages if you're into that. Superman close-up down there I really like. There's kind of a nice page of Superman flying in into damage there, getting the double-fisted action right there. And there's a little bit of Flash and Guy Gardner and Green Arrow, then damage. That's when he fought the Justice League, so that was good times. All right, so I showed you the other stuff last night, so I'm not going to, those of you who are joining me for the second night, I'm not going to bore you with stuff you saw last night. Let's see, I'm going to check some messages really fast here. John Smith is there. Fred Daly. Brian Miller. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Brian. Greg Hall. Greg, I finished your sketch in your book. It's going out on Monday. David Miller says, it was nice to meet you at C2E2, and thanks again for signing my absolutes. You're very welcome, David. Christian Kaiser Grant is back. Warren Montgomery, of course, is back. Free shipping, U.S. only or worldwide? Well, it's U.S. only because I'm not that generous. Warren lives in Portland, so I don't know why he would be asking me about worldwide shipping, but that is a good point, Warren. Thank you. Let's see what else we got here. Why is my camera blinking? Is that just the feed? Maybe, or it's me moving? I don't know. Just want to give you a shout out for being one of the nicest and fan-friendly artists I've ever met. Wow. Thank you, Cesar Omar Morales. Fred Daly says, wow, I don't know what he's wowing about, but I'll take it anyway and say thank you. Let me see if I can scroll here. Oh, there's just all sorts of guys here. Joseph Naftali, I've known for ages. Beautiful punch on that damage page. Thank you. What is the PayPal good store? I want the Jaws print. Oh, that's right. You're the shark guy. Aaron at AaronLopresti.com. $15. Just make sure you put in their Jaws print. Ooh, Greg Hall, Marine. He's ticked off. See, I knew I'd tick off somebody if I said that. Ooh, Casey Allura Rutledge says, seeing those damage pages, I bought your damage with Superman arriving to stop fight damage breakdown page. My friend Kaz Wilson has copied the page, keeping the original page pure, of course, and he's adding some fun stuff. Excited to see it. Okay. Greg Hall, thank you. All right. More people are jumping in. All right. Well, folks, what did you really come here for? Not to see this blank thing, but actually to see me draw. So I'm going to show you, we're going to start warming up here with one of these. I'm going to do a sketch. Oh, listen to that. You probably can hear it crack open because it's never been opened before. And I'm going to do a sketch of the Hulk on here for, who's this guy? I got to check my book here and see who I'm doing this for. Yes, I do keep track. I didn't used to, but I do now. Keep track of this stuff. This is for Neil Hayes. I think he was with us last night. I think he actually bought a book last night. So we're going to do his Hulk right now, and then we're going to do Octavio's Moon Knight after that. All right, so let's see if I can get this dang thing set up well enough that you guys can see this. Okay, I want to bring this camera around here. That's why you have to have a bigger budget, and you can hire a cameraman. I have no budget, so you get me instead. All right, so let's get this show on the road here, and are you even going to be able to see the pencils on here? You know, that's the problem. It's white. I got this light right above me, and this light so reflective. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm going to ink this anyway, so at some point you'll be able to see what I'm doing. But I'm going to just sort of, in a meandering kind of way, rough in lightly with the pencil this kind of Hulk head. You won't be able to see too much of it, I think, in the pencils, but so it'll look like, when I ink it, it'll look like it magically appears. You'll go, wow, that's amazing. He was able to do that with an ink pen and not, do any layouts, but yeah, I'm laying it out. So got to make sure that the Hulk's brow is sufficiently extended. Let me see, maybe I'll zoom in a little bit here. Let's see if you can see that better. Oh yeah, there we go. Let's zoom in. And you can see that a little bit better. Okay. See that? Okay, yeah, we can see that. If you guys are having trouble, seeing this or hearing me or something, just make sure you shoot me a message down there so that I know, so I can hopefully address it. Again, for those of you who didn't join me yesterday, these sketches in these books are just $20 extra. So the book is $25. You add the sketch, and it's $45. And shipping this weekend is free. So this is, I think, a pretty good deal actually. Because I do a little bit of work on these sketches. If I were to do just a quick headshot for somebody at the con or whatever, that's one thing. But these are, I think you get your money's worth and then some for the amount of time I actually put into these things. I don't know. We can't have the Hulk looking too docile because he never really is he? So we'll do this instead. Okay, so you kind of get, you guys can see that okay, I think. All right, well, so I kind of do that. I'm going to rough it in like this, and then I'm going to go in and take some Micron 0.8, which is the biggest pen they have. It's not a brush, at least that I'm aware of. And I'm going to go in and ink this. I'm going to ink it loosely because it's a sketch. And I don't actually want it to look too finished because I think there is a certain charm in sketch art. Again, I discussed this a little bit yesterday, so if I'm being repetitive to anybody that's watching now, I apologize. But I figure there's probably some people in here right now that weren't here last night. Anyway, when I'm doing a sketch, and I kind of want to keep it looking like a sketch rather than more like finished art. And that's why I sort of hesitate to call my convention sketches. Actually, sketches, I prefer to call them convention commissions because, you know, I ink them and I put marker on them and everything. And so they're much more a finished piece of artwork. They're not the same finish that you'd get, you know, like in a comic book page or something like that, but they're certainly way more finished than a sketch, which I would refer to this as being a sketch. You know, much looser, a lot of drawing with the pen. Vince Aiken says AaronCon rocks. And you know what, Vince? You are right. It does. Thank you for joining. What I need to get in the future is like, you know, fancy titles, you know, sequences and music and all that kind of stuff. Like have a live band, you know, kind of like late night talk show or something. That would be good. So again, I think this is a really good bargain if you don't have one of these. I think it's a really good sketchbook, just period, a really nice book with a lot of really nice art in it. I mean, it's got my best stuff over the last 20 years, and I had to go through a ton of material to kind of decide on which ones I wanted. And it's also got like 30 new images in it that have never been seen before, or at least never been published before. So there's a lot of good stuff in here. It's 64 pages. Like I said, signed and numbered. It's limited to only 750 copies, which, you know, may seem like a lot for one of these things, but they'll be gone before you know it. At least that's my goal. I paid a fortune to get these things published, so help me out and buy one. Gee, do I have to beg? The interesting thing is I don't do these at cons because my sketch list is so full that I really don't have time. But on something like this, where I'm only going to be on air here for like, you know, an hour and a half or so, then I can get some serious work done and I can actually do these where I wouldn't normally at a con. So, you know, if you're thinking, well, I should order one of these books, but, well, now's the best time to do it because if you do it at a con, I may just be able to sign the book for you, and they all come signed and numbered, of course, but I wouldn't be able to necessarily do a sketch like this, depending on how busy I am with my other sketch obligations and signing books, which is something I can't actually do in virtual AaronCon. I'm airplaying this on the TV. AaronCon is the best way to end this kind of week. Exactly, Fred. There you go. I appreciate that. This is not, you know, this isn't Netflix, man. I'm not charging you for this. This is just good-natured fun is what it is. Free of charge. As you can see, I'm doing a lot of kind of sort of extra drawing with the pen that wasn't in there with the pencils. Thankfully, I've done this enough that, you know, I kind of get an idea of what I want to go where, what I think might look good. So I can just kind of do it with the pen and not stress out that I'm going to ruin the piece. Although I have done that before. I'm not saying I'm immune to it, but look at that. Well, it's coming along pretty nicely. But see, I spend a good 20 to 30 minutes on one of these headshots. So, like I said, for 20 bucks, I think you're getting your money's worth. Now, something I told the audience last night was that I can't go in and do solid black on here like a big thick black marker because it'll bleed through, and then you'll have splotches on the backside of this paper, which really looks gross. So I decided to go in, and just when I had to do things that are, have a lot of heavy black areas in them, is I just crosshatch them, which I think actually in some ways works better because it maintains that sketch look that you want it to look like. And you're still getting enough of it to, make it look black, which it needs to in the shadow areas, or in this case, Hulk's hair. I don't know, I always kind of liked him with the shorter hair. At least that's how I drew him in Planet Hulk. He had kind of that long, shaggy hair. And of course, that was in the 70s, so everybody had long, shaggy hair, so I guess that's why he did. But I always kind of liked him more with this kind of, cropped look. We'll throw a little shoulder in there. I'll line this up in just a second so you can kind of see the finished piece in a proper perspective here. All right, I think that's pretty good. Okay, so there it is. So that's your Hulk. So this is whoever I said it was, I can't remember now. But they paid $45 for this, so they get the book with the sketch in it. I'm going to sign it because it seems the appropriate thing to do, right? 2020, I love putting that on there. And then over here, I'll go in and drop in the number, which I've left a little, as you can see. It's printed in the book. I got the number blank /750. So, but I got to, because I've been keeping track, I can check in here on my little, for those of you that weren't here yesterday, this is a little Batman notebook that DC gave us like as a Christmas present one year. It's really cool. So look at that. Look at those end papers. Got all the bat insignia on it. And there's like sample page. It's so funny because they've actually put printed sample pages in here that like to let us know how to use the book. I mean, it's a notebook. But anyway, so they, you can do a little sketch in here. You can write your notes in here. So actually, they wasted quite a few pages with printed material on here. Okay. Oh, I drew a picture. That I actually drew. That didn't come in the book. But yeah. So I've been keeping script notes in here, ideas for other books. I've got some artwork priced in here. When I went to Europe, I had to refigure all the prices. But I've been keeping a track of my sketchbooks right here, the ones I've sold, who bought them, and what they wanted on them. At least the ones with the sketches on them. I've been keeping their names down. Okay, so this is Neil Hayes. I'm going to check him off because I actually completed it. And he's number 93. Look at that. We're getting close to 100. So basically, if someone buys 6 books from now, someone's going to get number 100, which I think, would be kind of cool, I guess. There we go, 93. Normally, I'd sign, if you just got the signed and numbered edition, I'd sign over here. But since the artwork's over here, that's where I'm signing it. Let's take a quick look through Neil's book real quick. Look at that. Color action. There's a nice, look at that, John Carter. That's Deja Thoris and Tars Tarkas. This is another one of my creator-owned characters and series that I haven't done anything with yet, except a bunch of artwork for. Look at that. Sharks and a monkey, opposite a bunch of vampires. I mean, folks, it just doesn't get any better than this. There's the pencil sketch in blue line for the cover. There's a lot of trolls and goblins because, I don't know, I've just got a thing for them. There's some Star Wars sketches of Rey and Princess Leia. Oh, yeah. Lord of the Rings stuff, plus a little bit of copyright infringement there. Tangled. You may remember this. If you don't, you should go out and get it. Power Cubed. It's a miniseries I did for Dark Horse, and it's actually in a trade paperback now, so you really have no excuse for not getting it. Look at that little Wrightson-inspired House of Mystery, Kane from the House of Mystery. This is just chock full of good, fun-loving stuff. There's another really nice John Carter piece that I never finished. But so anyway, that's the book. Plenty of good stuff in here. And you can get one with a sketch. Again, $25 just signed and numbered, $45 with a sketch inside. Hardcover, made to last. Highly recommend it. Okay, so I'm going to slip that over there. Let me read some. I had a tablet over here to draw on, and it mysteriously disappeared, which that's not good radio, folks. What did I do with that dumb thing? Let's do this. We'll put that right there so you can look at that beautiful book while I try to figure out what happened to my what happened to my drawing tablet. It's probably underneath my prints. That's just outrageous. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. The slide aside, we'll put that aside. Okay. Now I did this last night, Booster Gold. I haven't markered it up yet. I promise you, tomorrow and Sunday, when we do this live, I'll actually do some marker stuff. What I did last night, what I'm going to do tonight is just sort of pencil and inks. So I'll put Booster over there. This is a Huntress. I still haven't finished that from last night, but we'll get to her because I have to look up her costume. Okay, so I'm doing a Moon Knight now, which I've never done before, and gotta find my cap to my pen because I don't want it to dry out. Okay, let's try and get this situated. Oops, sorry for the shakiness. Earthquake. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, that's pretty good. And they're tight enough to actually see something. Greg Hindley, HP, Highland Park Junior High and BHS 82 great times. Later. Thanks, Greg, for stopping by, although it looks like you're probably gone already. So do we just say what we want for the sketch when we send PayPal, Sean? Yes, if you're buying a book. I'm not taking any orders for these $200 convention sketches. That list is already full. But if you want a book, just say you want the sketchbook and then say, like, I want a Hulk or whoever in the message box so I know. So, in fact, I'm going to type in real quick in the message box. This is the PayPal for me. Okay, there it is. Something went wrong. We're working on getting food. Oh no, what happened? Am I back? Am I still on, you guys? Someone let me know if I'm still on. Because I just got an error message coming up on this. Are we still live? Somebody let me know. Yes, okay, thanks, Fred. I got this error message up and I was like, no, I don't know what to do. Okay, all right. All right, Moon Knight. One of the things I talked about yesterday, which is kind of sort of the problem of, well, let me see something here. If I can try and move this over just a little bit more so I can get a little better angle. Oops, sorry. Bear with me here. Here, I think that's a little bit better. Okay, one of the issues I have when you do a convention sketch is trying to figure out. See, I'm already going to erase stuff. Trying to figure out what position you want the figure in, as well as then making it fit on the page. Right? So I probably would be wise to like do a little thumbnail on like an 8.5 by 11 to kind of figure out what I want to do before I do it, but I never do. because I'm lazy. And then the thing is, it's like you don't do it because you want to save time, but then you end up erasing so much because you can't figure out what you want to do that you end up actually spending more time. So I do kind of have an idea of what I wanted to do for this though. So unless it just decides to go south on me as I'm going, and it's not going to work, but I think it is. I think Jim Lee developed this kind of look where this thigh sort of, let me get that up there, comes forward like that, and then you assume that the calf and the foot is kicked up behind the thigh, so you don't really see it. I don't normally do that with both legs. I like to kind of get one foreshortened in there, something like that. So we have the leg going back, and then maybe this one's going forward, so we don't really have two legs that are broken off at the knee. That way it allows people that aren't really necessarily all that familiar with the language of comics to kind of figure out what's going on, instead of going, how come his legs are so short? Not sure exactly how Moon Knight's hood would stay on when he's jumping through the air. It would blow back, wouldn't it? But that's not cool looking, so we're not going to do that. I always liked Moon Knight, at least the way he looked, but he's never been able to really, I guess when Sienkiewicz was on the series, he had a long, pretty healthy run on that book, but that was the second series. I think the original incarnation didn't really last that long. It's kind of like the Silver Surfer. Everybody goes, wow, that is a cool character, but then no one ever buys the book when they do, then they never buy the book or the series. So I just found that kind of interesting. I was sitting in the office of Marvel one time back in their old building, which was 387 Park Avenue South, for those of you who really want to know the answer to that trivia question. And I was sitting, this is such a great story, or just in terms of imagining the scene. There was a couch outside, this beat up old couch was sitting outside of the X-Men office. Mike Martz was the X-Men editor at the time, and I was working on Excalibur with Chris Claremont, right, the legendary Chris Claremont. And we're sitting out there talking about story ideas and things like that, and we were discussing why the Silver Surfer was such a popular character, and yet at the same time never really sold well. And hang on a second. Stephen Kowalski, hello from Boston. Just stopping by to say hey, and thanks for doing this for the fans. I have met you at many conventions in New England and I believe San Diego. Well, Stephen, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. So anyway, so I'm sitting there with Chris Claremont, and we're talking about story ideas. One of them was Kitty Pryde Meets the Living Mummy, which we were actually going to do, and then Excalibur got canceled because of House of M or something like that. But anyway, but we were talking about the Silver Surfer, and then the president of Marvel at the time, oh darn it, Dan, oh, you guys know, blonde guy. He was there at the same time Joe Quesada was editor-in-chief. I can't think of his last name for some reason. But anyway, he walks out of his office and walks by and just says, it's because Silver Surfer's such a wimp. And we kind of laughed about it, but then as we were talking, we were going, that's right. Because the Silver Surfer, especially in his original series back in the 60s, that Buscema drew so wonderfully, it was like he would sit and just whine and complain about, how he missed, Shalabal, his beloved, and, life's miserable, he's stuck on Earth, and all this kind of stuff, and humanity's so horrible. And it was like he was never really tough or proactive, unless he had to be, And so he just thought, he's too whiny. Now, I know Ron Mars had a pretty successful run with the character back in the, what was it, the 90s? Was it that long ago? Probably was. So, and I didn't really read it that much, so I don't want Ron to get mad at me and say that he wrote the Silver Surfer Wimpy, because I don't know if he did or not, but I'm going to assume he didn't. Because that was when Ron Lim was drawing the book and stuff, that actually lasted a good long time. So they must have been doing something right with that series. I think it actually started with Marshall Rogers was the original artist on that. All right, so now we're getting someplace with the old Moon Knight. David Laney. Thanks, David. Yeah, I'm going to be at, I don't know if David actually uses his middle name all the time, but he does on his Facebook. There's David Eric Laney. I'm going to be at his comic book shop like May 1st on Free Comic Book Day in Tennessee, of all places. So if you're in that area or in that neighborhood, mark that down on your calendar. What's the name of your shop, David? Are you still with us? What's the name of your shop? Because I can't remember. I can't remember my own name half the time. So that's one appearance that hasn't been canceled yet. I was very disappointed. I know I had some people I was going to do some stuff for at WonderCon, and that's kind of out now, and that's unfortunate. Hopefully this panic and problem with coronavirus will get that under control and be back to business as usual here in another month or so. Let's all hope that's how it plays out. Because I would like to do some conventions this year. But I guess, worst case scenario, we can always do another AaronCon, right? Have to get some guests next time. I'll do a panel. Although essentially you're getting a panel discussion right now, just no questions. I'm just the Golden Age. Nope. What? Oh yeah. David says his store is the Golden Age 1942. Is it really got 1942 in the title, or is it just the Golden Age? Because that's really cool. So it says it's the Golden Age 1942 in Maryville, Tennessee. So if you're anywhere near there on Free Comic Book Day, come by and check it out. I'll be bringing some sketchbooks with me and a few prints and some original art, and I'll just be sitting up there doing signing and chatting you guys up. I doubt I'll be doing any sketches other than maybe quick headshots, because you just don't have enough time in a one-day event. But I will be there. So all right, so I know Moon Knight's basic costume. I guess it's kind of silly because it's all white anyway. It's just kind of where you put the lines. I think there's like something. No, there's a moon here or something. I'm gonna have to double check that. But you guys get to see the actual important stuff here. Can you see that? That's actually pretty clear. But as you can see, I kind of, when I draw, I sort of feel my way through the process. I don't necessarily put in all the structure. I kind of wing it as I'm going, and which is not always the most efficient way to draw, because you make a lot of mistakes. But I don't know, it's just the way I've always sort of, I tried to, do the thing where you do the little stick figure skeleton lines and all that kind of stuff, and oh, I see. David Eric Laney says, yes, sir. 1942 that's when our building was built, an old radio station. Well, that's cool. So that's the name of his. The full name of the store is the Golden Age 1942, and that's pretty cool, I think. Do you have Golden Age books for sale? That's the question, though. I've been known to buy a few in the right circumstances. Can't remember what I was talking about. Does it really matter? My drawing technique. So I used to kind of do like the stick figure and all that kind of stuff, and then kind of build the shapes around it. And I'm an extremely impatient person, which is really bizarre considering some of the detail you have to put into certain artwork before it's done. But I guess impatient in the sense that I like to be constantly moving and kind of get to the point. So I found myself sort of drawing, once I kind of figured out structure and what stuff needed to look like, I I would just start drawing shapes, bigger shapes rather than, I mean, I always start with the egg shape of the head because you have to use the head to gauge the rest of the size of the body, right? So I used to see people, when I was younger, like a kid in school, and I'd see people would draw, and they would start a drawing, and they'd start from the feet and just start drawing up. And by the time you got to the head, the whole thing was so out of proportion. It was because the head is what you base all your proportions on. So to me, you have to establish that first. The problem with doing that is you're never 100% sure how everything's going to fit around it in terms of space-wise on your paper. So that can be kind of dangerous as well. And I guess that's why people do stick figures. You can do these quick stick figures and make sure they're going to fit on the page. But like I said, I'm not the most efficient guy. Even though I try to be, I'm constantly trying to cut corners, which then, of course, takes me twice as long to do everything. If I would just do it right the first time, but I never really do. Okay, so we got this going on, and I think that's pretty accurate. I don't know. I know when Finch was drawing this thing that he. I'm going to click over and bear with me for 1 second here. I'm going to dig up some Moon Knight reference because I'm not going to walk over to my comic boxes and dig one out while I'm on the air because no one wants to sit there and watch that. Okay. The other thing about Moon Knight that I find fascinating is his first appearance, for those collectors out there in the old audience. His first appearance is like worth a fortune. And it's like I can't figure out why a character that I mean, he's popular, but he's not. His first appearance is worth so dang much money, but it is. And I used to have one. It was Werewolf by Night 32, for those of you who must know. But I'm finding there's two different versions of Moon Knight here. There's the Finch version. And then there's like the classic, first appearance in Marvel Spotlight. So, do we have any requests here? Should we go classic? I mean, like totally classic, or should we do the Finch version? I'm leaning towards classic because that's just kind of how I roll. I'm a child of the '70s, and that's all my comic book memories are. What the characters look like in the '70s. Stephen Ings says, Aaron Lopresti, One Claws animator John Pomeroy, I know who that is, I'm following him on Instagram, teaches at Lipscomb University in Tennessee. Mushu animator Tom Bancroft runs the animation program. How about that? Look at that. Fred Daly says, do the classic, classic, classic. I'm an old man, classic. Everybody wants classic. Okay, so we're doing classic. So I'm going to go back. And when I say classic, I mean like first appearance classic, not Sienkiewicz probably did them differently too. But I'm talking like Marvel Spotlight classic. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so he has this weird belt. How about that? I didn't remember that. So I got to put this weird belt on here. Yeah, I'm looking at some reference. So I'm trying to do this. So it goes up like that. And he's got like a there. Okay. But he's got like these little moons that go this way and then this way. It's not as effective because it's foreshortened. It's a really thick belt on the original, but I think that's trying to even this out a little bit. What do they say, folks? Good enough for government work, right? So there you go. Standard kind of boot thing. Didn't he have like? Oh yeah, we had a knife, but it was on this leg, so we're not going to see that anyway. Has the moon, the crest moon, right there. So am I mistaken that the cape wasn't attached to his wrists? Because I'm not even seeing that in the original. Or I'm looking at the Sienkiewicz version now, and it wasn't attached to his wrists. But the very first, oh, I see. How about that? So he does have these.
It's AaronCon.
My wife just walked in to sort of
Holy cow.
add some entertainment value.
We Mr. Hope. Technology.
Yeah, well.
Got them all fooled.
I've been doing my own camera work. It's not good. All right, so he has the same things that Finch put on there. I didn't even know that. Well, okay, so I'm not really paying attention, am I? Or did they change that? This is the Epic collection I'm looking at, and I wonder if they changed that from the original. I bet they did. So now I'll bet money they did. That's what they're seeing right there.
Can you hear them?
No, but they type comments, and I can read the comments.
Good thing you can't hear them, because they'd be going,
I know.
You dork.
Let's see. Quiet Boomers. How old, Rocky? I'm not voting, but I liked how Maiko Suyan did him. I don't even know who that is. No disrespect, but so what do you guys think about these wrist gauntlet glove things? Were they weren't always like this, were they? Because now I can't find an original. That's the one I want, but it's not showing his gloves. I'm looking on another screen right now while I'm talking, trying to find a Moon Knight picture of the original cover. You know, I bet if I type in Marvel Spotlight 32, it'll come up, and then this will be solved.
Is it weird that you can't hear him?
No,
I feel like when I'm teaching,
you're
sitting in front of me.
I talk so much to myself anyway.
That's true.
Marvel Spotlight, is it 28 or 32? It's 28, isn't it? We're going to find out.
It's like when I talk to the dog.
It is. First solo Moon Knight story. Okay, I want to see that. Nope, he had the wristbands. How about that?
How about?
But they were connected. The cape was connected, and I am going to go with connected cape. I'm going to do it, but it connects down here twice, which is very odd. Oh, I'm sure. I've seen it with my own eyes. So it connects down. Oh, can you guys see that? Okay. Connects down here. So we'll do that. All right. I'm digging it. All right. Well, that's about as much pencil work as I'm going to put into this sucker. Kristen Kaiser Grant. Oh, she says hi.
Oh, hi. I want to know where this muffin is.
Take the muffin. You earned it.
What muffin? I don't need a muffin. I don't believe you.
What are you doing?
I'm doing. Oh, that wasn't the one. This one. It looks like it's like right here.
Yeah, so I said at the end of his glove. Down here.
I thought you meant like down.
No.
I'm leaving now. Dun, dun.
So I'm going to erase this because I'm confusing myself.
Which is easy to do.
Okay.
All right.
See, this is what you won't see at a con. My wife never comes to cons with me anymore.
No.
20 years ago, you would have seen her there, but
yeah,
not
that's when
now.
I was a good wife.
Not
now I just go and sleep in and meet for dinner.
There you go.
I don't have the energy to go shopping anymore.
Oh, boy, I tell you.
I tell you. All right, there's your phone, by the way.
Thank you. Well, I purposely left it downstairs.
Oh, I'll take it.
No, just leave it. Well, now that you brought it up, I'll just leave it. Okay.
hot in there.
Oh, it's hot in
You
here.
want a fan?
No, I'm fine.
All right. Use the spotlight.
Okay, now we have it. Let your wife help you. Oh, she helps me, all right. She's trolling you. That's good. I like that. Is my wife an artist also? No, she's the opposite. She's a math teacher, so she's like super smart, way too smart to go into art for a career. My son's an engineer, so he took after his mom, and my daughter is a dancer and an artist, so she took after me. So she's the one we have to worry about actually making a living. But my son is doing quite well as an engineer, as you can imagine. Not a bad line of work if you can get into it. You guys would be amazed, maybe not, is how many engineers buy artwork from me. So there's a lot of engineers that are comic book fans, so that's kind of cool. All right, generally speaking, I use a little bit more of a smoother line on this than I would say on like the sketches I do in the sketchbooks. But I have been, if you'll notice in my new Justice League work, if you guys check that out, which I hope you do, I've had Matt Ryan go in and ink it not quite as slick. Because I think you get to a point where you can ink the life out of a drawing, because pencils have so much energy into them, and that's because there's a lot of layers to it. There's a lot of loose pencil lines. There's nothing really. I mean, it's defined, but the line work itself is not, defined as much. There's a lot of loose wild hairs, as I call them, on your drawing, and when you ink it and ink it super tight, you lose that feeling, which I think gives the energy, or gives the drawing energy, right? So I want to try and maintain a little bit more of that in my work, because anybody that, any of you guys that look at my work regularly know it's fairly slick and tight, and which is fine, but I don't know, I think sometimes it can lack a little bit of energy, and so that's what I'm trying to get back into it. And so I've had Matt ink it a little bit. He's a brush inker, and I've had him ink it a little bit more like a pen inker might, with some kind of wild line weight variances, and just kind of some rougher edges here or there, to kind of give it a little more energy. And so we'll see if it still looks really slick, but if you look at it close, it's not quite as slick as it used to be, for those of you who have followed my career for any amount of time. If you're just new to me and the Justice League is one of the first things you check out, then you won't notice any difference, I'm sure. But as you can see, just by how I'm using this pen, I'm kind of like scribbling a little bit to get kind of some looser, rough edges. You don't want your characters and your drawings to look like porcelain, right? You want them to have some energy, and so that's kind of the danger of being too slick while you're inking. All right, I'm going to take a 10-second break to remind people that may have just joined us about this wonderful opportunity to get this hardcover 20th anniversary sketchbook called Raw Imagination. It has 20 years of my best sketch work in it, as well as about 30 some images of new material that's never been published before. It's a hardcover. Look, it has a spine with writing on it. That proves it's a real book. And has my little tiny Cold Crocodile logo right there. And there it is in the back too, Cold Crocodile Press, which is my my printing company, or my publishing company, excuse me. Anyway, you can get these for $25 or signed and numbered limited edition. And if you want a head sketch on the inside, a big one, like the full size of the paper, it's an extra $20. So $45 post-paid this weekend only. Free shipping. Can't pass up that deal. All right, now back to our regular programming. Let me turn this so you guys can actually see sort of what it's looking like right now. It's groovy. So we'll continue on our path here to Moon. David Laney says, fantastic book. I bought a few. He did. Sold a few to store. I assume you sold those at your store, right? I mean, you sold a couple of them, didn't you? Say yes, even if you didn't, because I don't want to look bad. Bedrock City also had some. I hooked them up with some copies that they made available to their customers as well. Jeff Ellis says, hi, Aaron. Love the penguin sketch you drew for me in the book. That was the first one we did. Did you watch that last night, Jeff? Were you able to catch it? Because I did that live on the live feed. That was the first thing I did last night. Glad you like it. It's all boxed up down there and ready to go out on Monday, by the way. I'm trying to remember, Jeff, did you have the... my wife stole my mouse. She was trolling me. I got to take a look at my sketch list here. So after Moon Knight, I've got... I got Agent Carter after that, and then Jeff Ellis's John Stewart. So that's the Green Lantern, John Stewart, the Green Lantern. Then I've got a Spirit. Will Eisner's a Spirit. That's going to be a blast. A Starlin version of Captain Marvel with the Cosmic Awareness face. That'll be fun for Kevin Sharp. Pete Tano, I think Tano wants a Thundra. That's good. Tim Bentley, who wanted a Batman, but I haven't heard from him. He hasn't paid yet. So if Tim doesn't pay, Sunday there'll be an open slot. And then I've got Carlos Morales wants a traditional Wonder Woman. So a lot of good stuff, fun to draw. I've got a full color Dragonlance piece that I've got to do that I'm going to actually shoot a video of for my YouTube channel. So you can watch me do a full color commission in stages, of course, because it's, you know, it's a good amount of work to do one of those. And obviously I'm not going to torture you guys like I'm doing here by making you watch me draw every line, but we'll go through the penciling and then go through the inking, you know, some stages of the inking and then the coloring as well. And then you'll see the finished piece. So. Alrighty, do. We PayPal the email address on your website, right? Sean, that is correct. Yes, it's Aaron at AaronLopresti.com. That's what you PayPal to. So I tried to type it in there and there was a malfunction. So that's what, I'm not going to try and do that again. But yeah, it's just Aaron at AaronLopresti.com. That's my PayPal address. And just make sure you put in the message box in there what you're sending me money for so I know. And make sure you get the spelling right because it'll go off into cyberspace if you don't, and then you won't even know it until I tell you, hey, that payment never showed up. So yeah, Aaron at AaronLopresti.com. So a lot of people ask me who my influences were and I always tell them it's none of your business. No, I don't say that. What I say is, um, I'm always looking at artwork and people, that are currently working. But the people that are, so you're always looking for inspiration from somebody or somebody that's doing something really cool that, can kind of inspire you, or maybe, they're doing something you think is great. You can borrow from them. But growing up, it was Frazetta, number one. That would be Frank Frazetta. Those of you who don't know who Frazetta is. um, and then it was Wrightson after that. And then I went through little stages where I kind of had my Barry Smith uh, infatuation, and I really enjoyed reading King Cole. Yeah, free shipping in the U.S. only this weekend. Thank you, Fred. So if you're outside the U.S., you're going to have to pay for shipping, and I apologize for that. But like I said, I'm nice, but I'm not that nice. But anyway, I wasn't a huge Conan fan growing up, but I was a big King Cole fan, and that was drawn by Marie Severin and inked by John Severin, and I just really loved the way that stuff looked. So I kind of went through my John Severin stage. I was kind of trying to mimic his inking style, and I had a Starlin stage, mainly because of not really Captain Marvel, because I didn't start buying comics till they were 25 cents, and he was doing a lot of that Captain Marvel stuff in the 20-cent days, and then kind of crossed over into the 25-cent days. But I did pick up his Warlock, not in Strange Tales, but like it started with Warlock number 9, I think, was his first issue on there. And so I picked that stuff up and just thought the stuff was really funky and cool. And then so I had a Starlin stage, but then I kept going back to Wrightson. Wrightson was really my main. Wrightson and Frazetta. Neil Adams too. You can see the Neil Adams influence in my work, in some of my storytelling, and in some the way that I'll do a layout in a page or a shot. You'll go, oh, that's a Neil Adams shot. I mean, you can see it in my work if you're looking for it. What about Plug or Bruner? Plug became like a later influence to me. I was never. Um, I liked his Man Thing stuff when I was a kid, but what really got me going on Plug was that Santa Claus book he did in the early '90s, and I met him shortly after that. And what a great guy, terrific guy. And but that Santa Claus book he did was a real inspiration to me. But it didn't really affect my style as much as it just inspired me to do more stuff like that. Um, and who was the other one? Thanks, Josh. Appreciate you saying that. Where is it? Just because I'm a very nice Oregonian. Oh, Warren, thank you. Oh, Warren types in my Aaron at AaronLopresti.com. So check out Warren's post in the comments there, and it has my email, my PayPal address. That's also my email address. What about Frank Bruner? He was never an influence on my work, but I did like his stuff, his Doctor Strange stuff, and of course, the few times he did Howard the Duck was was really cool. So yeah, I was a Bruner fan, but I never really looked at his stuff because his stuff was very much like Wrightson's in a lot of ways, So it wasn't all that different from stuff I was already looking at. Um, but I was a big fan of his stuff. And since I've become a professional artist, I look at like Adam Hughes a lot. I think he just has ridiculous amounts of talent, and I'm just in awe of his drawing ability. And so I keep an eye on what he's doing and try and, you know, see what he's doing that maybe I could incorporate into, my style of work. Um, I was a big Dale Keown fan when he was working on the Hulk. Um, Kevin Nolan, I borrowed some stuff from here and there. Uh, because I really liked how he inked and spotted his blacks on characters and stuff like that. Universal Monster fans, what the heck is that? Oh, just an alert. Yeah, I liked John Byrne, but it was never an influence. I've been in a couple fights with him, but I mean, not fist fights, but verbal confrontations. But they all ended up being good natured, I guess. But Byrne had an interesting. Alan Davis is another guy I really liked his stuff too. Byrne was interesting in that he made a comment. I recall this being a comment that someone made at a panel or something that he was at in the 80s. I think I might have read it like in the Comics Journal or something, where basically he had made the comment that, he doesn't really know why he's so popular. And somebody commented and said, well, the reason your work is so popular is because you draw comics the way people think they should look. And I thought, that's probably true. And I always liked his stuff. I liked his stuff on Captain America. I never really read the X-Men. I know that seems really kind of blasphemous, but I never did. And but I thought I really liked his Captain America stuff. And but I don't think that he was ever. I think I was too far gone at that point, or too old. I mean, I was in my 20s by the time I really started paying attention to Byrne in the late 80s. Mid to late 80s. And so I was really sort of already on my way to my weird combination of Wrightson and Neil Adams with a little Frazetta here and there. All right, so we got his hands done. We got just about everything done here except the cape and the eyes. Aaron is awesome. Did a couple of sketches for my daughter. Oh, thank you, Adam. Bedrock City, yes. Thank you. Oh, Adam, yeah, of course. Charlie wants to know, do I collect art? Yes, I do. If you've got a few minutes, I have a YouTube channel. One of the episodes on my YouTube channel is the art that's hanging on my wall. And it's not all the art I have, but it's the stuff up on my studio wall. And unfortunately, my tastes are super expensive and I don't have a lot of money. So I'm not one of those comic book artists that rakes it in. But I do spend when I can, and I've got like I'll tell you the story, even though it's on my video. When I was at CrossGen back in the early 2000s, and my son was still very young, like fourth or fifth grade. We went to MegaCon and Walter Simonson was there, and I'd known Walt. I've known Walt for years, and I asked him if he'd do a sketch for my son of Beta Ray Bill, and he was like, "Nah, I really don't do convention sketches and blah blah blah." So I was like, "Okay," because I didn't want to press him on it, be a jerk. And but my son was really into HeroClix at the time, and so he Walt said, "You know what, Josh?" He said, because Josh asked him. That's my son, Josh. Asked him if he knew that. Excuse my reach. I'm getting a drink of water here. Thanks, Fred, for posting a link to my YouTube channel. So my son said, "Did you know that they made a HeroClix out of Beta Ray Bill?" And I don't think Walter even knew what HeroClix was, but he said, "No, I wasn't aware of that." So we told him about the whole game and everything. And then, so Walter said, "I'll tell you what, Josh." He says, "If you can find me a Beta Ray Bill HeroClix, I'll do a sketch for you. So, of course, I grab my son and go, hurry, let's go, and so we found one, and it was for a Hero Click, it was one of the more collectible ones, so it was like $12. So we bought it, gave it to Walter, and he said, okay, this is cool. He said, I'll do a sketch for you, Josh, and send it to you. He wasn't going to do it at the show. And so we were all excited. A couple months later, we get this package in the mail, and it has this Beta Ray bill in it, right? And it's an inked piece. It's not like a sketch piece, but it's an inked piece. And for Josh. But he also included a Thor piece for me and a Thor frog for my wife. So that's what a wonderful guy Walt Simonson is. So I have those up on my wall, and I have a Plug. When Plug did that fantasy card art set he did back in the early '90s, I've got one of the original paintings from that set, The Abominable Snowman. Just so happened to be one he hated and I loved, so I was able to really talk him down in price, because I think he wanted $900 for it, and I was like, yeah, I don't got that much money, so we worked out a deal. But so I have that, and then later he gave my wife the pencil sketch to it, and so I have that hanging next to it on my wall. I bought a page from Weird World 38. Pardon me, that's not correct. Marvel Premiere 38, which is the first Weird World story. That was drawn by Plug, inked by Alex Nino. So it's pretty freaking cool. And I have a page from that, one of the better pages in the story. And that was one of my favorite books when I was a kid, because you asked who my influences were. And Frazetta, because I grew up in the 70s, and the sword and sorcery stuff in comics was the monster stuff and the sword and sorcery stuff was really big in the 70s. And so those had a huge influence on me. So like Lord of the Rings, any kind of fantasy stuff. Weird World, of course, was a kind of a Lord of the Rings sort of thing. And so those are still my favorite stuff, barbarian stuff, sword and sorcery. Some of you may have seen the Wonder Woman Conan miniseries I did with Gail Simone. That type of stuff I enjoy doing more than Octavio liked the video. Good. This is yours, by the way, Octavio. This is your Moon Knight. But so that's the kind of stuff I really dig if I could do. I mean, it's just not that popular in comics, or I'd be doing it all the time. I also have, if you remember, in the about 78, Marvel did a super special 3-issue magazine size that was full color, that was Weird World, or Warriors of the Shadow Realm, but it was a continuation of the Weird World story. It was John Buscema, inked by Rudy Nebres, colored by Peter Ledger, and it's all on the original artwork. Here, I'll show you really quick because I'm so nice. We go up. Oh, there's my toys. Look at that. Doot, 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 right there. Boom. Okay. That's a page from Warriors of the Shadow Realm that is penciled and inked and colored on the board. That's not an overlay. So it's like watercolored on the board. So it's amazingly cool. So I got one of those. That's one of the few pieces of my artwork I actually have on my wall. That's a cover from Wonder Woman 25, I think, because my daughter is a little girl on the right that's posing there with the muscles. That's when she was in kindergarten. She's now a senior in high school. Anyway, we'll get back down here. I've got a Rudy Nebres Barbarian piece. I got a couple of Mark Schultz pieces, small pieces because he's extremely expensive. I have an Alan Davis clandestine page that has MODOK on it because I'm a huge MODOK fan. The late, great Paul Ryan, who's a good friend of mine, gave me an Iron Man versus Fing Fang Foom page, a Fantastic Four page with a Thing, also a Spider-Man Daily, and a Superman splash. So I have those. Hilary Barta who's a tremendous humor artist. Those of you who may have remember way back in the mid '90s when I did uh, well, I wouldn't call it a series. We did 2 issues when I was in a studio called Studiosaurus, called Chicks, and the first issue was Chicks, and the second issue was Chicks from Space. And I had Hillary do a 3-page story in there with Piguana, who was one of the character's sidekicks. And so he gave me that 3-page story. So I have that. What else do I have? I have a ton of portfolios, like all the Frazetta, Lord of the Rings, and things like that. Rights and portfolios, all the Frankenstein portfolios. Nebres, Nino. I've just got a ton of stuff. And I also check out my video. There's also a video. Was it Charlie that asked? Yeah. There's also a video of. Let me show you what this looks like. If I can. Wait a minute. Everything's backwards when you do that on a. Okay. So that's pretty much it. What I do after this is I'm going to. I'll marker this up. Although he's all white, so it's just going to be sort of like putting in some gray shadows and stuff. But I'm not going to do it tonight because I want to make sure this ink stays dry. Because as I said last night in one of the videos or the video I did last night, some of these heavier areas that you color in, they stay wet for a long time, and you may think they're dry, excuse me, but they're not. And then you marker over the top of them and they smudge. There's nothing more frustrating than that. So I'm going to let this dry overnight, and then I will, you know what, I promise you, I will do this one, marker this up tomorrow on camera on day 3, and finish that guy up so you can come back and see that. I also got to do that Moon Knight too. So we're going to rip this guy off. When I say rip him off, I mean literally rip him off the tablet. All right, so what time is it? Almost 7:30. Should we do another one, or should I wrap it up? What do you guys think? You guys willing to stick around for a little bit longer? It's been an hour and a half. I don't want to fatigue anybody, especially me. Well, you know what I'll do? The heck with you guys. I'm doing it anyway. Okay. My next one is I got to do Agent Carter. I know kind of what I want to do in my head, so I'm gonna rock and roll with Agent Carter. So everybody loves Agent Carter, right? Okay, speaking of getting the head size right, I got to make sure I'm doing this full figure standing up, so I got to make sure I don't make that. This would be a good time to go in and do kind of a little skeletal drawing here to kind of make sure that she is going to fit on the page. Okay, so we'll give her a gun because she is Agent Carter. And I know that's where I'm going to establish her hand. So now it's just a matter of foreshortening the arm correctly in here to fit. And again, I use circles and cylinder shapes to create these to create the shapes of the figure. I always like to get a little curve in the figure, even when I'm doing guys. It wouldn't be this curvy with the guy, obviously, but because even with you want to put a little energy into the figure, even if they're standing still, so that you've got, some feeling of motion and, like I said, energy in it. So I'm going to be holding up a gun like that, a gun like this. I have no idea what she's wearing, so I'm just going to kind of fake it just for the sense of penciling this. It's amazing how quickly I can draw a female figure. I guess I've just been drawing a lot of them. All right, so how about that? And suddenly we have Agent Carter. Fred Daly says, keep going. Charlie says another one. All right, all right. Big question, Stan or Jack? Jack, of course. Garbage Man headshot. Garbage Man headshot. Warren, you're so random. Uh, let's see. David says, but it's my wife's birthday. Got to take her out. Can't wait till everyone meets you. Thanks for coming by, David. Appreciate it, man. I really do. And we will see you soon. Tell your wife happy birthday. If you came in late to this video, these will all get posted on Facebook like minutes after we're done here. So you can go back and revisit, something you missed that maybe you wanted to see. I'm not much of a gun guy. What is it? Adam Garland just sent me a message. What is he saying here? Aaron, really enjoyed seeing you join Moon Knight. My little girl missed it when you gave us the shout out. I wanted to see if missed it. Wanted to see if there is a site dedicated to set up a commission like that, or do you take them from here? Just let me know. I'd like to get one and look forward to hearing back from you soon. Okay, Adam. All right, I'll have to message him back. I guess I didn't need to read that out loud since he's not actually in the chat right now. I don't think he is, but I'll message him back later. Fred Daly says, hi, I originally thought you were drawing Peggy and not Sharon Stone. You know what, I better check that, because that dude, maybe he wanted Peggy. That's a good question. Agent Carter. That's an excellent point. If someone says they want Agent Carter, they probably want the original, right? Like from the 40s, right? Well, I guess I'm going to finish this one, but I just have to give it to somebody else, I guess, who wants it. I don't know. I'm going to have to check with him and see. I'll let you guys know if this isn't what he wants. I'm going to double check and make sure. But if not, I'll make this available to somebody else. So I'll post on Facebook if it suddenly becomes available, because I'm doing the wrong character. But I'm just going to pencil it. And Fred causing trouble. Well, I'm glad he did, because I was like, I hadn't even thought of that. But Agent Carter, he probably does mean the 1940s version. Well, we'll find out. Okay, my daughter just texted me and said they have a chubby frog at Critter at some place for $17. Let's go get it. My gosh. Why? Kids. Okay. We need a little Lulu with guns, yeah. All right, so anyway, this is actually Sharon Carter, or gonna be, and not Peggy Carter. So I'm gonna have to get that verified. But anyway, so that's a nice little figure I got going there. I don't want to not use this, so I will use it. But it may not be for, so I'll do the face and then we'll call it good. May not be for the same guy, though. This may not be what he wants. Oh, okay. And as I said in the other last night, there's nothing more important on these than getting the face right. If you got a good face, the rest of the stuff sort of takes care of itself. If you have If you have a terrible face, I don't care about the rest of, it doesn't matter. So I want to make sure that I get the face right. I don't think Sharon Carter does much smiling. She's way too intense for that. Give her a little bit more chin here. Okay, let me ask you guys a question. Krill needs a chubby frog, yeah. Should I do the live feed tomorrow morning, afternoon, or evening? I mean, it is Saturday, so I'm wondering, which is usually the busiest day of a con, but people are at home or off doing stuff on the weekend. They're probably not going to be tuning in to see this. So those of you who might think you'll be joining me tomorrow, what time do you think is better? Kicks bones. So I'm actually soliciting participation from someone in the audience or a few people in the audience. So other than Fred's continual comments, does anybody have any ideas about what time would be best tomorrow? Christian says afternoon. Jeff says afternoon. No, there's 2 votes for afternoon. Hammer evening. So of course I won't get a consensus because you never do. But the thing is, if you miss it, it'll be posted on, and you can watch it anyway. So it's really not going to be that big of a deal either way. So probably. I'll probably do it in the yeah, I think a lot of people will be home. They might be, it's true. People kind of sequestering themselves. All right, so let's shoot. We're going to do it in the afternoon. What the heck? I'll do it. Shoot. I won't know for sure until tomorrow, but keep an eye on my Facebook page, and I will post probably in the morning what time I'm going to do it. Once I talk to anybody that I may have to drive around tomorrow, which I don't think I will, but so my plan is to be doing this all day. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do a live feed all day of it, though. I'm not Andy Warhol after all. Okay. Oh, you guys can't see me down here? Okay. I'm down around the legs now, so I better move this up. It's a great thing about these convention pieces is since I'm making them myself, I don't have to do the drawing all that tight. I just use it. The face I do, but other than that, I just kind of use everything else as sort of a guide that I can follow when I'm inking it. Put a few Liefeld pouches down here because it's, you gotta have pouches to carry stuff. That makes perfect sense. All right, so that's about as much penciling. There we go. As much as I'm going to put into this sucker. But anyway, so there's Sharon Carter. Not Agent Carter, though. So, man, I'm glad, Fred, I'm glad you brought that up. That would have been kind of embarrassing if I sent him this and it was not what he wanted. Remember, the customer's always right. Yeah, most of the time. Anyway, all right, so here's what we're going to do. Been on a good hour and a half. So I'm going to plug this one more time. It's my hardcover sketchbook, Raw Imagination, 20 years of sketches by me. These are $25. They are signed and numbered. So you can see the little number right there. You can also get one with a sketch in it, like this Hulk sketch, for an additional $20. So just signed and numbered, it's $25. For a sketch in it, it's $45. So an extra $20 for the sketch. And this week only, free postage. And it's the same with my prints that I showed you earlier. Everything on my website that's for sale is basically free shipping this weekend only. And again, there's some shots of all the groovy goodness that's in there. There's some rough stuff in there, and there's actually some more finished pieces that are kind of fun. Look at that. Got Indiana Jones, Kurt Russell from Big Trouble in Little China. And that would be Captain Jack up there in the corner. So yeah, do a little bit of everything in here. So think about that. And there you are, folks. That is AaronCon2020 Day 2. We'll be back tomorrow afternoon for another probably hour and a half doing the same stuff, new drawings, new excitement, new stories. And so we're going to do this all 4 days. So tomorrow, again, this was day 2. Tomorrow will be day 3. I want to thank everybody for joining me. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with me this evening. And I will going to get some stuff done tonight that I'll have to show you tomorrow of some finished stuff, as well as doing more drawing tomorrow. So everybody have a pleasant Friday night, and hopefully we'll see most of you guys back tomorrow afternoon. And again, I'll list that time, specific time, on my Facebook page as soon as I get it figured out. All right, guys, thank you, and good night.